The culture is absolutely...
The gut ain't running anymore! Calling both games.
One of the biggest torments of Falcon football over the past 5 years has been their complete inability to recover from 28-3. It has tormented them at every conceivable angle. The only way to start to heal from it is a complete enema. As much as you'd hate to admit it, missing out on Deshaun was the best thing that could have happened to Atlanta. Acquiring him for a King's Haul of picks wouldn't have done anything to solve the massive issues surrounding the team right now. They'd have been trapped in a vicious cycle of mediocrity. What does signing Leonard Fournette and Jarvis Landry do when you don't have any semblance of a defense? However, this is far from the cost of trying to go big game hunting. Trying to poach a predator has led the franchise face to be a conscientious objector. Matt Ryan was quietly scuttled away to Indianapolis. The franchise face for almost 15 years is gone. And all for the low price of a third-round pick. And an over $40 million dead cap hit. It was sadly inevitable, but still stings. Ryan should have a ring, but the scars of 28-3 burn instead. The team has finally been purged of most of that core. Atlanta can finally begin to heal. They'll do it with Marcus Mariota as a stopgap QB and a game plan that's over 90% Kyle Pitts and Cordarrelle Patterson. I would say that Calvin Ridley may be coming back from Exodus, but what's this? Uh-oh, looks like Calvin was betting on games during his absence. You know damn well what this means. It's time to take a little spin, Mr. Ridley. Do the honors. Oh no, a season-long suspension. That's too bad, Calvin. You bet $11 million on a $1,500 parlay. Perhaps you should have considered beating a woman. Maybe then the suspension would have been more in your favor. Standards. In this league? What are you, crazy? It's more fun to spin a wheel.
The Atlanta Falcons select Drake London. Wide receiver.
Okay.
USC.
Falcons fans may bitch about this pick, but here are some names to consider. Olamide Zaccheaus, Auden Tate, Damiere Byrd, Kaderol Hodge. That was Atlanta's wide receiver depth chart before this pick. This may have been a slight reach, but it was a desperate, desperate need. Even if Matt Ryan is gone, I can't exaggerate how important it was to pick a wideout here. The offense can't just be Kyle Pitts. London will be expected to take a big role out of the gate, and they'll get plenty of chances to do so. Atlanta's starting a much-needed rebuild. Time is on his side there. First step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. Atlanta's problems are vast, yes, but the encompassing one was failing to recover from 28-3. The only solution to such a dilemma is a nuke. It took a few years, but the Falcons have finally accepted the writing on the wall. Or was it them trying to go after Deshaun Watson, thus pissing off Matt Ryan in the process? As a result, they've taken this team down to the damn studs. The offense is Kyle Pitts, a hopefully healthy Drake London, and the USFL All-Stars. The defense is A.J. Terrell and Deion Jones imitating Atlas, trying to hold up the unit. The entire city only hopes they can imitate Chick-fil-A this season. Closed on Sundays. Even with the teams that are choosing to blow it up and start from scratch, there is still plenty of intrigue with the NFC. So many teams desperate to win a championship or go far into January. And even more trying to make a name for themselves. The NFC East hasn't had a repeat champion in years. So I'm going to maintain that narrative and pick Philly to win it. The NFC North is still Green Bay's to lose, but they're slowly losing grip on their stronghold. The NFC South has a few suitors, but the Bucs are still too loaded to really fail unless they get injured to hell and back. The NFC West? Huge question mark, but I think the Rams are still the team to beat. But what about the wild cards? It's tough to choose, there are so many good options here. In this case, I'm choosing the Niners, Saints, and Vikings. Yes, the Vikings. I think people are sleeping on them. Then again, we've said this about them before, only for them to fall apart. Sorry about that, Minnesota. Atlanta can finally start fresh. They can begin to recover from the horrific traumas that 28-3 wrought on their franchise. With this match against New Orleans, the Falcons are taking the baby steps needed to move forward. They're playing with conviction. The Saints are breaking like a religious man on Bourbon Street. New Orleans' offense seems lost without Sean Payton. They can't stop Cordarrelle Patterson or Marcus Mariota. The Falcons are rushing their way to a 16-point lead in the second half. Now, the old Atlanta would have blown this game, but not this time, goddammit. They blew the game. getting choked again? Oh,
Nope.
God, they've relapsed. We went over the 12 steps, boys. You looked clean, but for all I know, you were getting off to that goddamn fetish of yours again. Perhaps I was wrong. To cure 28-3, you'll have to contract the whole damn franchise. General Sherman had a point. The only way to heal Atlanta is to burn everything to the ground. Everyone knew the Rams were going to respond after being punched in the mouth. They still have the incredible talent that got them a Super Bowl ring. And against a doormat in Atlanta, there won't be any contest whatsoever for LA. There's going to be a celebration that was robbed of them against Buffalo. Complete obliteration of the hopes and dreams of a team deep in a rebuild. Storming out to a 28-3 lead. Oh, the cursed lead. Do these fools not realize the dangers of what they have just unleashed upon the world? Everyone knows that a 28-3 lead means certain death for a franchise. It doesn't matter if they're playing the team that unleashed this hex, it affects the perpetrator all the same. It is incredible. The Atlanta Falcons, the incredible chokers that they are, have a chance to end the horrible narratives. They are coming back from the deficit they made famous. The NFL world is rooting for them. They've whittled the lead down to 1 score. It will be the ultimate redemption for years of perpetual failure. Let us hope it will be so.
Here's Mariota. Hit as he throws for the end zone. A jump ball intercepted! Jalen Ramsey with the pick!
Of course, I forgot. This is Atlanta. Even when they get the chance to come back from 28-3, they will somehow still blow the damn game. It was a valiant effort, but revenge is usually never fulfilled. Did you think they, of all teams, would overcome it? Too bad. Get back in the corner and be the worthless punching bag that you are. You could technically call this another unofficial tank poll, but then Seattle's coaching staff would hunt me down to have a chat in the trunk of a car. They're still pretending like they can win, goddammit! To be fair, both teams are. They're trying to solidify job security, so this will be a fight for victory. This is what football's all about, baby. Touchdowns will be thrown. Great plays will be made. Drones will be flown over the field in an effort to save us from an outcome. We've reached the 4th quarter with the Falcons in the lead, but alas! They fumble away an opportunity to seal the game. If they blow another lead, no matter how small, Atlanta will never hear the end of it. The defense has to make a stop. Or a yellow flag on the field for holding will, but a chance for Seattle to steal a win is still available.
Geno Smith, a lot of room to run, but he needs that first down. Throws in a crowd, and it's intercepted.
Baby steps, Atlanta. You didn't blow a game. Don't overwhelm yourself, just get the small tasks out of the way. That is the only way to a full recovery. You can do it, Falcons. On the surface, this should be an easy win for Cleveland. Against a rebuilding Falcons group, the day they win is the day they'll throw to Kyle Pitts. However, deep down, it's closer than it looks. Injuries are wrecking the Browns. Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are out. Their pass rush is decimated. Although I wouldn't worry about defense if I were Cleveland. It's their offense. Without Nick Chubb doing 11 billion separate heroics, it's absolutely useless. I keep thinking Jacoby Brissett could be something decent at the NFL level, and then I see games like this. That's why he's a backup. Atlanta was robbed of Deshaun by these fools, and they'll rob the Browns of this win. But first, a relentless wave of punting because nobody can move the ball. However, the Falcons did something unprecedented. They adjusted their attack. Cleveland's having trouble sealing away the running game. With the weakened defense, pound them into submission and let Younghoe Koo do the rest. It didn't result in touchdowns, but field goals were all they needed. It's enough to get them a 3-point lead. A stunning upset is in their sights. The only thing they need? A stop. Just one.
Brissett fires and it's intercepted!
The recovery from horrible chokes past continues on. A much-needed victory, if only for pride, is Atlanta's reward. Their first AFC North win since 2010. Cleveland must leave humiliated again, and it's by their own hand. That 4th down in your first drive? Just take the damn points. You don't have Deshaun under center yet. Don't play with fire if you don't have to. Then again, that's why I'm not in the NFL, I guess. People overthink this game far too often. This game was quite the snoozer, wasn't it? Plodding, methodical football that's easy enough for old man Brady to manage with his advanced age and impending divorce. As we're all thinking we're watching a rerun of C-SPAN in the 1980s, Tampa Bay is lecturing Atlanta how things were back in the 19-decades. They say then you could buy a football team for a nickel and be able to shoot the players out back if they didn't perform. Maybe the Falcons should do the same as they've fallen behind 21-0 deep into the game. All seems bleak, but then another step towards recovery. Atlanta is managing to put up points on the board. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. The rushing attack is making noise against Tampa's defense. Without Cordarrelle Patterson. They may be burning too much time off the clock, but the Falcons have a shot to win the game. If they stop the Bucs on this third down, reality can... Oh my God. Did you see what Grady Jarrett just did? He touched Tom Brady! How dared he tackle someone in the current year? He violently threw him to the ground without massaging his cock or tucking him into bed! This is elder abuse! Think of the children that had to watch such a heinous display! All of the flags on the field! Roughing the passer! Roughing the passer!
Emotional damage.
It's okay, Tom. Your trauma will immediately be treated by our finest doctors. This win is nowhere near enough to heal your pain, but it's a start. Atlanta's fine will be trading Deion Jones to Cleveland for scraps. This is the NFL in 2022. What a fucking joke. The San Francisco 49ers defense is a relentless swarm that terrorizes their opponents. But what happens when they get a taste of their own medicine? The Niners drew the dreaded Uno reverse card. Jimmy G reminded us all why they tried to replace him in the offseason. Oddly enough, it was to the Falcons. The rebuilding Falcons. They put on a defensive performance that Atlanta hasn't seen in probably decades. Thanks to key turnovers, San Fran was publicly spanked, despite their heavily favored exterior. Even Mariota kept the mistakes to a minimum. In the end, you must embrace chaos. It's the only way to survive in this world. As shitty as the NFC South is this year, the Falcons have a legitimate shot of winning the division. I, for one, will cheer this outcome. If only for the meltdowns it'll cause. Atlanta was riding all of this momentum thanks to a San Francisco squad that kept stepping onto bear traps. Unfortunately, the Falcons don't have an opportunity to reset them on the road. Cincinnati needs to bury their opponents. Their hope was destroyed when A.J. Terrell was taken out of the game due to injury. And Joe Burrow destroyed whatever hope was left with his precision passing. Almost 500 yards of it to make sure nothing was left to chance. If you hear anything underneath the ground, it's the Falcons gasping for air. The only silver lining? The NFC South is such intergalactic asteroid shit that the Falcons might have the best chance of winning the division. Carolina can take the goddamn division lead next week if things go to plan. This is beyond chaos. This is a rip in the space-time continuum. The NFC South is a division, an affront to God itself. Tampa Bay had it all but wrapped up by default, but they keep self-destructing when they reach the main menu. They are a terrible football team right now. Anarchy rules over us all. What that means is... Oh, son of a bitch. You do realize all this insanity is making the greatest game lose its luster, right? I might want to do other projects and explore passions of mine, but no, the league has to keep devolving into chaos. I have to sit and watch the Carolina Panthers have a chance at winning the division. The same damn team that's a shit show and a half and fired their terrible coach a few weeks ago. However, since then, PJ Walker beat out the others and led them to humiliating said shitty Tampa squad last week. They can lead the NFC South with a win here. That's how bad this year is. Even the lol cows of the league can lead their divisions. Their opponent? A rebuilding franchise in the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, I said rebuilding. They had traded their franchise face in the offseason, and it was justified as Matt Ryan fell off a cliff in Indianapolis. His career's all but over now, but Atlanta's just beginning. The team drafted 2 elite talents in Kyle Pitts and Drake London, yet barely used them as anything other than downfield blockers. They may be under 500, but that's because the league felt offended by someone touching Tom Brady in the pocket. The Falcons even did their traditional choke in Week 1 against the Saints, but they too can lead the division with a win here. Thus sets a stage to appease the Chaos Gods. How do we start out? An interception by Mariota. His first one in 3 games. Predictable. Just just like Carolina failing fast with a 3 and out. The struggles are real for Atlanta, but the best is yet to come in this affair. No, it's not this field goal by the Panthers to draw first blood. That would be Atlanta's drive into the second quarter. The so-called Super Mariota slowly chipping away at the last straws of our sanity to do something unprecedented. Throw to Kyle Pitts in the red zone. Unbelievable. The Panthers, however, would not be deterred. Matt Rule is gone. That means the offense is no longer restricted by the overburdensome weight of his micromanaging. Carolina scores a touchdown to take the lead. Some could say the Panthers can achieve true chaos. But then you remember why they're deep in the shit. A gimme of a pick six for Atlanta to take us to the half. This is when the madness slowly begins to cook at Goatsy Stadium. Prep your buttholes. A field goal by Carolina is merely an appetizer. It just needs a little more time to cook in the oven. You can't rush perfection, you know. It would take until the end of the third quarter. But with this screen pass to Tyler Algier, the horns of war had sounded. Touchdown Falcons. Madness would consume the land. With a balanced attack, the Panthers would begin to make progress on Atlanta's defense again. And on a 4th and goal, they push with everything they have and secure a touchdown. The 2-point conversion to tie, also secure. The Falcons choose to respond in kind with blazing offense of their own. See, Atlanta? This is why you throw to Kyle Pitts. Good things happen. Not enough to get a touchdown, but points were scored to regain the lead. If only your defense could hold on in the passing game. DJ Moore and Terrence Marshall gashing the secondary, harkening back to the final days of the Dan Quinn era. With a blazing run by Deontay Foreman, the Panthers retake the lead just as fast as they lost it. Now it's Atlanta's turn to strike with mere minutes left. The pressure is at a fever pitch, while no one in the NFL world notices that Drake London was thrown to. Little would they know, greatness was unfolding before their eyes.
Mariota, complete. It's Demir Bird, inside the 25, the 20, still going. Bird, the former Panther, touchdown!
Demir Bird with the proverbial dagger. Who needs clock management when you can move like that? A celebration was beginning in Atlanta. The Panthers are being eaten alive by the Falcon defense, and their 4th down was unsuccessful. However, Carolina still has 2 timeouts, so this game is far from over. Can they get the first down to kill them off? No, but a field goal has made it all but impossible to come back from. Besides, this is Carolina. No way they're pulling a rabbit out of their ass.
Walker on first down, moving to his left. And now Walker fires downfield, looking for DJ Moore. It's a diving catch for a Panthers touchdown.
Holy shit, Carolina's gonna win the game. The Falcons can't stop choking for 5 goddamn minutes. And like all things in Carolina, they shoot themselves in the foot. DJ Moore pulled a Dwayne Rudd. He took his helmet off in the celebration when they still need an extra point to tie. Unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I'd say to keep your emotions in check in this situation, but here's the real stinger. He was off the field when it happened. This shouldn't have been a penalty by rule of law. Although oddly enough, I don't really feel bad. Carolina now has to kick a 47-yard extra point to win.
48-yard extra point attempt by Pinheiro is no good.
Did you really trust them to make it? Of course we're going to overtime. There is no other date with destiny. Atlanta will get their chance to make their rival pay for their sins.
On second down, play action. Mariota going deep, and this pass is picked off.
Did I say sins? I meant to say we remembered C.J. Henderson was drafted ahead of A.J. Terrell. That was a funny day, wasn't it? Good news for Carolina. They can win the game with a chip shot 33-yard field goal.
All right, here we go. Pinheiro from 33 for the win. It is no good.
Eddie Pinheiro. How does he still have a job? There was no snap fuck-up. There was no defensive pressure. You're in a fucking dome. When did he suddenly turn into Roberto Aguayo? Jesus Christ. Now Atlanta can carry us to even more misery. Because we're in a vintage choke-off. Who wants to win? Certainly not anyone watching this. But we will continue on. The clock ticks down as Marcus Mariota is going to end this game all by himself, rushing his way right into field goal range. Honestly, part of me wants Young Wei Koo to miss this. I need to laugh at this game more.
From the right hash, 2 minutes remaining in overtime. From 41 yards out, Koo's kick. It's good.
Oh well, guess we can't have everything go our way for humor's sake. With that, Atlanta legend Younghoe Koo kicks the Falcons to victory. And the prizes that it entails. A 500 record, and the division lead in the NFC South. Luigi wins by doing nothing. The story of Atlanta, and the story of the greatest game in stadium history. We'll ignore college football in this argument. It's for the best. Were you envious of missing it? Good for you. These two teams are playing in Carolina next Thursday. See you then for more torture. We're at the point where the Chargers and Falcons have legitimate chances to make the playoffs this season. Neither team really does. With how often they've danced through the raindrops due to the fuck-ups of their opponents, the game turns into this. This is a friendly reminder that Atlanta is currently leading the NFC South. The Chargers may have a 4-point lead into the half, but it's flimsier than plastic wrap. They turned Justin Herbert into a check-down magnet. How the hell do you do that? Atlanta attempts to capitalize, but suddenly they forgot to secure their belongings and were pickpocketed as if they were playing Skyrim. Wait, that was wrong. Here's the ball back, Falcons. We're sorry for doing it. Please score a touchdown on us as well as a token of forgiveness. As the failing continues left and right, it's obvious to anyone that both teams are refusing to win. Look, it's right there. Just take it. Kick a field goal to tie, Chargers. Good. What else is there? Everything is a joke and we're the punchline. I'm cringing by proxy and I'm nowhere near a fan of either team. Despite everything they've done to fuck it up, LA's in position to kick a game-winning field goal.
Inside the 20. Falcons say Eckler was not ruled down. Ball comes loose again.
Football. This is supposed to be the best the world offers? Great, the Chargers are going to be bailed out of their own incompetence again because this game is a hot mess. Fuck it, I'm done. Let them pick the game winner. I don't care anymore. God forbid anyone play decently in this goddamn league or something. There was a time where I thought the Falcons had the best chance of winning the NFC South. We do not speak of such traumas. To describe this hell that got us forsaken, it's a lot like the weather. Miserable, bleak, and a relentless downpour of suck. It's an equalizer that even Carolina can pounce on. One where the running game is emphasized thanks to the elements. One where the underrated Deontay Foreman thrives in gashing his opponents. They needed to make sure the game didn't rely on Eddie Pinheiro's leg to win. Fortunately, the Panthers didn't. In an alternate universe, the Falcons wouldn't have pissed away opportunities and would currently be a 9-1 team. In this timeline, they would not drop every potential pick that comes their way. Blame the weather all you want, but it's a brutal loss for a team that was eager to surprise. The only surprise is how Atlanta keeps finding ways to lose. How do you make Carolina look dominant? Chicago Bears are the ultimate enigma of the league. A team that can do the impossible yet somehow fail to accomplish the most basic of tasks. They're at least a fun excursion while they spend the year losing for the almighty future. Justin Fields is blossoming in front of our very eyes, but he's still very, very raw. Can he tap into that upside? Who knows, but it's good to finally see him be allowed to use his damn feet instead of die in the pocket. That being said, the Bears still need many, many things. Like a defense to stop any sort of offensive attack. Or absolutely any talent they can get their hands on. This is what happens when you take a team down to the studs. There are a lot of imperfections. Same goes for the almost equal enigma that are the Falcons. They can show this sudden burst of skill yet fall to being a glorified tank just as fast. Against this defense, they can flex their strong running attack with a secondary passing threat. Both teams are trading blows in this affair, and we're tied at 24. This is when that wonderful Bears defense does its thing and bends to the might of Atlanta. Imagine saying that as Younghoe Koo drives the dagger in their heart. Chicago would counter, but it's not meant to be.
On third down, given time. Too tall and Jalen Hawkins makes the interception.
The duality of fields. There is much work to be done, and this loss proves it. If only he had a better everything around him to help out. By the way, a special shout out to Cordero Patterson. He just set the league record for kickoff return touchdowns. Is he a Hall of Famer? I never gave it much thought, but he could be. You know, if it weren't for their executive branch, the Washington Commanders would be one of the most likable teams in the league with their locker room and players. The way Taylor Heineke uses everything he has to lead his team despite his limited abilities, it's admirable. Marcus Mariota hasn't been too bad himself for Atlanta. They're stopgap QBs, but they still give their teams a chance to win most of the time. This is going to be a battle. We can confirm that, as we can also confirm the exaggerated death of the Washington defense. Atlanta simply benefits from... Jesus, that's a terrible ball from Heineke. Fortunately, the commies seized the means of offensive production on an early second half drive to give them the lead. But Joey's sly and kick inaccuracy is the human corruption that ruins their utopia. Begin a great defensive struggle for both teams, with a punting as furious as both sides dig into their trenches. Down by 6, Atlanta blows the whistle to go over the top. They will make their final charge on their enemies. They'll do it with big passes to get into field goal range. They'll do it with the running game to get into the red zone. Sadly, we all know the curse that befalls their franchise.
Mariota, the pass, it's deflected in the air! It is picked off potentially by Washington! It is! It's Kendall Fuller!
You can't escape from the stereotype, Falcons. You have opportunities, you will choke them away. Even when you think you'll get another chance at a win, Atlanta suicide charges into the punter. First down, Washington. Game over. Falconing so pure that you'll choke on its toxic fumes. The Steelers are now 15-2-1 against the Falcons. Atlanta hasn't found a way to beat this damn team since 2006, and it's probably going to be another 4 years before they get another shot. If only the Falcons weren't the epitome of anti-clutch, they may have had a chance. Marcus Mariota completely missing big throws, key drops of others, and all in all failing to stop the plodding movement of an opponent who merely trots to victory. The Steeler offense at least doesn't look absolutely awful against weak defenses. Najee Harris killed a man. That was nice to see. Way too close for comfort with too many missed points on the board and George Pickens pissed off at not getting the ball, but it's progress. It was mostly due to Atlanta failing to make the most of all the chances they had and coming up short, but Pittsburgh has won back-to-back games somehow. The Steelers are really going to bullshit their way to a 500 record, aren't they? It's almost an absolute dogma by now. The playoff push is reaching its final stages. Only one spot has been clinched by Philadelphia, but 4 weeks remain. Philadelphia obviously has number 1 seed, but the division is still up for grabs. Minnesota, after an ugly loss this past week, is still 2nd seed, and the NFC North is technically secured as well. The torrid pace of the Niners has them starting to run away with the West in 3rd place right now. But the NFC South is best not discussed. Tampa Bay only has it because the division is straight up awful. Meanwhile, Dallas is sitting pretty with 10 wins and first wild card. After that, it's a mosh pit. Washington and the Giants are currently tied at 7-5-1, and Seattle struggling to maintain form with an easy schedule. Detroit's creeping up though, and don't forget the rest of the garbage in the NFC South still has a chance. The picture will become clearer as time goes on. And as we all know, there's only one rule to follow.
Don't get eliminated!
Oh, Atlanta, will you ever stop blowing games with incredible skill? The Marcus Mariota dynasty has ended as the rightful stopgap it was. Begin the great Desmond Ridder experiment in the hopes to see if he's any good. New Orleans should be a good litmus test for this greenhorn. Considering it's 14-0 Saints at the bat, thanks to the arm of the Red Rifle, not a good start. However, Atlanta is a team trying to overcome past demons. As they bravely move forward, we remember that David Johnson is still in the NFL to no success. Their passing game may be failing, but Tyler Algier is pounding the rock with authority. They must do anything they can to keep up with Andy Dalton's resurgence to a competent quarterback. Despite this struggle, the Falcons try to maintain pace. They'll do it with the rushing attack, and they'll get this game down to a 3-point deficit. However, like most games this season, the choking ways of Atlanta continue to manifest. How does it happen this time? A fumble by Drake London on a drive they were moving the ball. Arthur Smith is probably sitting there wondering why the fuck he even took this job. He must suffer through this cursed season like coaches before him. Good work, Falcons. All of Philly now wants you dead. Why the hell did Desmond Ridder run it out of bounds with no time on the clock? We've had quite a lot of teams reach playoff land this week, didn't we? It doesn't mean we're anywhere close to settling how things will shake out. Philly still holds number 1 seed and can clinch their division with either a win or Dallas loss. Minnesota and San Francisco both clinched their division since there's no elite team rivaling them in division. It's only positioning they're playing for. They won't have to worry about Tampa Bay. They are ass. And their division is even more ass. Please delete it from our existence. The winner of this shit pile will probably be hosting a playoff game against the Cowboys. And we will wish for death. The other 2 wildcard spots are currently held by the Giants and Commies despite the G-Men winning last week. Seattle is falling hard while Detroit is rumbling back into the picture after being left for dead. Green Bay hangs on by a thread. And so does the rest of the NFC South. This is gonna be quite fucky, isn't it? Everyone left, you know what to say.
Don't get eliminated!
The Atlanta Falcons may be the most unintentionally hilarious team to watch all season. Every opportunity is given for them to take a step forward and emerge as anything besides a punchline. Yet they live up to their reputation and choke away every game they have a chance in. Underhanded throws aplenty by their opponents. Yet they keep whiffing whilst falling to the ground. Or should I say fumbling after another big catch on 4th down? Either or is the correct answer in this scenario. Like most affairs involving the Falcons, it wasn't that their opposition won it. In the Ravens' case, it was far from the truth. The reality is that Atlanta lost this game. Like about 7 other matches this year. I feel like Arthur Smith's blood pressure has increased at least 50 points in both the diastolic and systolic categories. With how often his boys fuck up even the most basic of tasks, you have to wonder if we'll even have the stomach to yell at them in the locker room. They're so far away from 28-3, yet they just can't escape its horrifying grasp. A cruel fate all its own. Look at this matchup and see a pointless game. You wonder how David Blau is able to start a football game in the year of our Lord 2023. Yet I implore you to give this matchup some love. Both of these franchises may be dead in the water, but the glories of draft position are at stake. Auditions for next year's team are underway with haste. Jobs are on the line with every second that ticks. The dreams of an NFL career are being forced to update your resume. For you see, there is much that is meaningful in these kinds of affairs. It wasn't the prettiest game in the world, but it was played, and in the end, it's all that matters. What happened in it is unimportant. All you need to know is that field goals were kicked, and Atlanta pulled away in the end on a walk-off Younghoe Koo dagger. Even when there's nothing at stake, the Cardinals are still useless. Fire Cliff Kingsbury last week. Oh, what could have been if a few rolls of the dice went a different way. We were so close to hilarity and greatness with the Chaos Division. But what do we get in the end? Further proof that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be planning their off-season vacations to Cabo. Also, if the Falcons had anything resembling good fortune, they'd be something like a 12-win team. I know I'm gonna hear that this game was meaningless for the Bucs, that they pulled their starters early, that Desmond Ridder was able to dissect their backup defenders all game long, but it just shows you how shitty Tampa Bay is. They have no business being in the playoffs, yet are conveniently in the worst division in football. They won it by default, and with a losing record of all things. Tom Brady is inevitable. He will sentence us to a horrible death by stretching and TB12 supplements. Yeah, I'm salty, but this team stumbled ass backwards into this spot. All you can do is prove me wrong. You cannot escape the pain. Even during an obvious rebuilding year, the Falcons cannot have even a modicum of joy. Any hope will be quashed by losing games in the most humiliating ways possible. Thought you were done blowing leads? Not in week 1 against the Saints, you aren't. Perhaps potentially overcoming the dreaded 28-3 curse? Maybe if Marcus Mariota didn't throw it right to Jalen Ramsey. What about a big comeback against Tampa Bay undone by Grady Jarrett touching Tom Brady? Why not add to a big fumble by the Chargers by fumbling on the same damn play to cost them the game? Interceptions in the red zone with less than 2 minutes left by Mariota? Fumbles by Drake London on critical fourth down receptions? Oh, it was a season of pain when it shouldn't have been anywhere near as such. I see Arthur Smith as the disappointed dad who just learned his son totaled the family car. You want to beat the shit out of the kid, but you don't because you love him. We know that look. Arthur gave it nearly every week. If this team had any ability to finish, they'd have won at least 10 games. Dead serious about that. Perhaps with actual talent on the roster and managing to throw the ball to Kyle Pitts for once, things may change. It's Desmond Ridder season. Mariota just left because he knew his time was up. I truly don't blame him for it. Get out before the executioner comes for your head.